Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual college, military, and trade and technical schools visit series. We are very fortunate today to have Sergeant Biddle with the United States Air Force with us. Very excited about that. Thank you for joining us, Sergeant Biddle. And just if you have any questions throughout today's visit, please feel free to we'll have a time for questions and answers at the end. You can put them in the chat and we can make sure that we're monitoring that and we'll get to them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sergeant Biddle to talk to us about the United States Air Force and opportunities within. Thank you, Sergeant Biddle, for being here with us.
Got it. Thank you so much. So as the counselor knows, I'm outside right now, so please let me know if you can't hear me clearly. That's why the phone is on my face, so you can hear me. But I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I have been with the Air Force for the last 16 years. May is my 16-year anniversary. And actually, my journey has been very different. And one of the reasons why I love recruiting is I am here to do anything and everything that my recruiters, I feel like they couldn't do for me. So I've learned a lot over the years, and I'm hoping to accomplish everything that I didn't get and I can give you guys as a recruiter. I started in active duty in the Air Force, and no one ever told me how many components to Air Force there are. So whoever is interested in serving in the Air Force but unsure, should they go full-time, should they go part-time, I'm going to inform you on everything so that way you can make an educated decision and more informed decision. Air Force as a branch has 3 areas you can join under, and I didn't know that, or else I wouldn't have gone full-time and moved away from my family. Active duty is the one and only full-time area in the Air Force, which means you kind of decide what you do, but Air Force tells you where you're going to work and where you're going to live. This could mean you work in Alaska. This could mean you're living in California. So one of the things you want to consider if you're considering military as an option in your life is how you want to serve, and that's going to determine 2 things. Are you okay with being away from friends and family for a long term, or are you just trying to get the military benefits and use them to your advantage, and you want to do it part-time, minimal commitments and max return? So active duty is full-time, and you get to live and work wherever Air Force needs you to. Reserves and Air National Guard is you choose where you want to work, you choose your job, and you choose when you want to serve, and you commit minimal, which is only 2 days out of the month and 2 weeks out of the year. About 39 days a year is the part-time Air Force opportunities, which is the Guard and the Reserve. Wonderful thing about the part-time Air Force is you get to stay home after training. So you only go away for training and you come back and you get to stay at your house or move close to your family, and you get that family support. Let's see. The process is very simple to join the Air Force, whether you are interested in a part-time or a full-time opportunity. There's 2 requirements. One is taking the ASVAB testing. It's like an aptitude test. And the other one is a medical physical where you get a health physical, saying that you're healthy enough, you're fit enough to be able to join the military. But as you can tell, I enjoy talking, and I can tell you all about the things. What are some of the questions you guys have I can help with in regards to whether you should go full-time or part-time? And maybe I can answer those questions. If there's any questions. My concern was that I didn't know you could do Air Force part-time or full-time. I thought you could only do it full-time, so I went both feet in. Lived away from my family thinking I was going to be able to travel the world because my recruiter said, you can travel the world. I was 19 years old. And I was like, I want to travel the world. And I thought Italy, like I'm going to Italy. I don't know why Italy. You could go anywhere in the world, right? And I joined the Air Force active duty. And active duty, you go in not knowing where you're going to work. They tell you where you're going to work after you're getting close to being completed with training. Last week of training, they called everybody's names and they told us our assignments. They called my name and they said Nebraska, Offutt Air Force Base. I said, Nebraska, is that like Naples, Italy? It was the state of Nebraska. I was 19 years old living in the state of Nebraska. That's where I got stationed. And one good thing it did for me was there's not much to do in Nebraska. It's all cornfields. So I got to save money and I focused on education because there was nothing for me to do. But the biggest takeaway I want to give to students today is there are options to Air Force. You have 3 options. You don't have to go full time and you can still get great educational benefits. The educational benefits that a lot of people don't know is you get better educational benefits on the part-time Air Force than you do on the full-time Air Force active duty. Example, just for easy math, active duty tuition assistance is $4,500 right now per person per year. $4,500 tuition assistance. That sounds a lot at first, but D.C Air National Guard, where you serve part-time and you get to stay home close to your family, is $12,000. It's almost 3 times as much. At first, so I started an active duty, and when I was trying to transition to the Guard, I thought there was a catch. So I asked my recruiter, what's the catch? Like, why is a full-time person getting 1/3 of a part-timer getting it? But it's actually, there's no catch. It's all about the budget. Guard units are like small businesses. Every state, district, and territory has a unit that's individually managed. Funds are reviewed individually. It's like a small business, many small businesses per state, and this is what the D.C Air National Guard can afford. And if you think about it, kind of makes sense because D.C Air National Guard mission is to protect the nation's capital. The White House falls under our mission. All the federal assets, Pentagon, everything around here falls under our mission. So what does that mean is out of the 54 Guard units in the United States, we're always in top 5 when it comes to mission importance. And what that means is we need funds to be able to carry our missions. So as a member, when I was trying to decide which Guard unit I want to go with, I was like, of course, I'm going to go with a unit that's well funded. So that way I get better resources for me. Because let's face it, everything is money, the smallest thing we want to go, we want to do opportunities. So Air National Guard, part-time Air Force, you serve 1 weekend a month, which is 2 days out of the month, and 2 weeks a year, average of 39 days a year is what you're going to wear your uniform, and you get better educational benefits. A lot of individuals, they wonder, like, why, like, how would you choose between full-time and part-time? Like what would be a deciding factor? Deciding factor depends on the individual, and we're all different. How close we are to our family is very different. Our educational goals are very different. Our personal professional goals are very different. A lot of people in the DMV use the Air National Guard as a stepping stone for their professional career growth. What does that mean for someone young in high school still thinking about their options in the future? Some of us are proactive, some of us are not. But what I can tell you is if you're unsure, doing part time is good because 1, you're not committing fully. 2, you get to stay home after training. You come back home so you have your family support. 3, if you think about it, DC metro area is a hub for all federal state buildings and big organizations, whether they're profit or nonprofit organizations. So with your military in your resume, with your Air Force in your resume, with your skill set, because Air Force is going to train you, give you a trade, um, you can use the Air National Guard as a stepping stone to get started. So I always tell my applicants, you don't have to start at a fast food restaurant to start working out of high school or in high school. You don't have to go work at Target, Walmart, fast food restaurants. Now, they're not bad. We all shop there, right? We love them. But the thing is, your career doesn't have to be what it was for me. If someone told me I could do Air National Guard part-time, in the high school, did you know that students in their high school senior year can join the military and you can have a professional career started at your senior year? You don't have to wait till you graduate to have something ready. So when you graduate, you're not even thinking what you're going to do with your professional life, or you don't have to worry about going to job interviews and seeing how you did or how you didn't do so well, or even putting a resume together. You know, what do you say? You've been in high school and you've been part of these great clubs. Maybe you're in a debate club, maybe you're an honor roll student, but at the end of the day, companies are right now with the job market, they're very selective and they want references, they want work experience, they want a certificate. But if you're a high school student and you're just trying to get started, it's like, that's why I'm looking for a job, because I don't have one, right? You got to get started. So Air National Guard can give you that step to get started, official. Um, and one thing about the Air Force, by the way, is I don't know why, but the society thinks individuals in the Air Force, it's very reputable. When you tell somebody you're in the Air Force, they're like, wow, right? Whether you tell them you're in the Marines and they're like, oh my gosh, you're like out there in the field. But when you say Air Force, they're like, oh wow, it's, I don't know why people think we're a little bit more, not intelligent, but they think we're more professional, even though I think it all depends on the individual. No matter what uniform they wear or they don't wear, somebody can be intelligent, somebody can be respectful with or without the uniform. But society thinks when you say Air Force, they're like impressed, right? So I always tell my applicants, and especially high school students, you got to be selfish on how you're going to make things work for you. And if it means doing part-time Air National Guard and you want to start a resume in your high school senior year, you're like, yeah, I'm in the Air National Guard. A lot of people are going to tell you, they don't even know you, and they're going to say, wow, thank you for your service. And the little do they know, you've been in school, you haven't done anything, right? But the thing is, with the Air National Guard in your resume, you don't have to do much. We already appreciate you for deciding to pursue an opportunity. So I wish someone had told me that you could do Air Force part time. Then I wouldn't have been living in Nebraska for years away from my family. Now, let me tell you, I'm not complaining. I'm glad I did air active duty first, because I don't think I would have appreciated the Guard, because I have friends in the Guard now. That's all they know. And they're like, oh, it's just the Guard. They don't understand how good it is on this hand. And so I think sometimes they take it for granted. But let me tell you, if you could use it as a stepping stone, why not? If you get better educational benefits, why not? If you have to do minimal commitments but still claim Air Force as a profession, why not? As you can tell, I can speak very general about the Air Force and the Air National Guard. Please let me know if there are any specific questions. If not, I'll keep going on what I think is important, which is like training. Air Force has the 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 shortest amount of basic military training compared to other branches. That was one of my deciding factor to go Air Force. I'm not even 5 foot tall. I'm like 100. I'm like 98 pounds, and I don't want to be out on the field. That's not for me. I want to be able to use my brain. I want to get educated, right? That's why I wanted to join. So if someone had told me you could still get educational benefits and do it part-time, I would have done that. Air Force military, basic military training, I was intimidated, to be honest with you. But not even 5 foot tall, 98 pounds, I graduated with a good rating. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. If anyone has any questions on training too.
Just one question I have. So for
Uh-huh.
students that are interested in the Air Force, just even learning more, what should they do? They're in high school, they're in 9th through 12th grade. Should they reach out to the recruiter for their high school? What's the
So,
best avenue for them to take?
so it depends on how proactively they want to seek. And the first thing is, I think they should talk to their parents and decide on in which capacity they want to serve. That's very important, because I didn't know you could do part-time or full-time. The full-time is going to give them a full-time paycheck from the beginning, as in you sign a contract for 4 years, say with active duty. For 4 years in active duty, you don't have to ever worry about a paycheck, because you're going to get paycheck full-time. With the part-time, you only get paycheck for your 2 days a month that you work. So it's not enough to pay your bills, so you still have to find a full-time job, right? Or you still have to stay with your family until you finish school, because if you have rent obligations, car obligations, you're going to have to find a job that's going to pay for that. So one thing to decide before they I guess speak to a recruiter is, how do they want to serve? If they serve in active duty, it's good financially from the beginning because they don't have to worry about a paycheck, but they live far away from family. Air National Guard is good if they want family support and if they want better educational benefits. To me, family is very important, and that's not something I can, I can buy with money. So if I know what I knew, then what I know now, I would have picked Air National Guard. But some people, money is very important to them, and they want to go active duty. So decide, are they willing to live far away from family, and how important money is from the beginning. Like, do they want to use Air National Guard as a stepping stone while they're getting trained, while they're getting their education and everything like that? So if I knew I could decide to stay home, I would have stayed home. But everybody's very different, and not everybody's close to their family. I saw a question, I think, about MOSs, jobs. So one of the biggest thing is if they have time in their hands to study for that ASVAB testing, because the higher score you have, the more jobs you qualify for. Nobody told me that. Let's see. What does VMT look like due to COVID? So right now there's less marching around. Right now there's less coordination, physical coordination. There's less people. It's again that 6 foot row, 6 feet being apart from one another, but they are condensing a lot of the training. Right now, basic military training is about 7 weeks long. It used to be 8 weeks long. Right now, it's 7 weeks long. And I think they're thinking about condensing it even more to keep the core information and less marching around and all this extra discipline and structural information. I'm going to actually send you a video about if you guys have Facebook, I can send Facebook link to our Air Force basic military training where they show the dormitories, which, by the way, other branches think it's luxurious. 16 years ago, and I went, and I think it's luxurious. I'm like, why did I go? I should have joined later. But yeah, so right now basic military training is a lot condensed. Gosh, I remember marching like 6 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon. Now everything is very core. But basic military training, the purpose of that is to transition from a civilian mentality to military mentality. They do that a lot with your, maybe the way you speak to someone, and how you carry yourself, how you stand, how you analyze information differently. Is it strategic? Is it tactical? So basic military training, please don't think of it as just being like field training. Air Force has the minimal field training of all branches, because how we do our training is everyone goes to basic military training and receives the core Air Force information. The second training everyone receives is that MOS question related. You get training in regards to your career field, your job that you have selected. So, for example, if it's rescue related job, then you'll get field training. But if it's like me, I used to be in the medical field, I received no field training, minimal field training. It was a week long. So we have field trainings for individuals that work in the field, career fields. So I want you to think about that too. There is a lot of thought that went into my mind when I was trying to pick a branch. In the Army, you're a soldier first. Everyone has to be field trained because you're a soldier first. In the Air Force, you are the career field that you are first. So I was a medical. They could only use me for medical jobs. But in the Army, you're a soldier first. So if they need you in the field, you go no matter what you do. Think about that too when you're considering your options. Another thing I didn't know was about the different branches. Ask questions about what to expect from your first year in that service or your 2 years. That's going to tell you a lot. For example, when I narrowed down my branches between Air Force, Army, Navy, I was down to two, Air Force and Navy. This is half funny, half not funny, and I'm going to share it with you just so it triggers some questions. I had just watched the movie Titanic. And did you know in the Navy, there's something called the sea duty? Everyone has to go live on the ship at least for 6 months, I think, at a time. So at that time, my grandparents weren't healthy. And it was important to me that I stay on land. And if I need to drive or if I need to fly, that I would be able to get home. So I was like, well, if I join the Navy and I have a sea duty and I'm going to be out in the ocean for 6-7 months, like who's going to pick me up? It's not like I can just jump on a bus and go. It's not like I could just catch a plane ticket and go. So what's going on in the student's life is very important when it comes to deciding what the requirements from that branch is going to come their way, what they're looking for when it comes to understanding how they're going to serve. See, I didn't want to be in the Army because I don't want to be a soldier first. You know, I don't want to do field training. I'm not even 5 foot tall. I want to use my brain. And my family said education is important. And Air Forces has always led the way when it comes to importance of education. And it used to be up until recently the only branch to have to offer automatically college credits for all the training that we are given. So basic military training, you receive college credits. Your trade school, you receive college credits. Some individuals are wondering, like, how do you receive college credits for basic military training? If you think about it, you receive leadership training, management training, you do PT, right, field training. You do history, you get history credits because you have to study the US history, world history. Believe it or not, in basic military training, there are tests. So I want the students to feel good that Air Force basic military training is a little bit of everything. It's not just field training, and you do get college credits. So by the time you're done with training, you should almost have your associates. Just when you think that you have met the Air Force's training requirements, you're actually going to have been double dipping because you're going to do Air Force's training requirements, and at the same time, you're earning college credits. Where when you're done with training, you can just transfer those to any school for free, which was another interesting thing. So I used to go to Nova before I joined, right? And I tried to transfer my credits to Nova, and Nova asked me to pay like $15 or $20 to transfer my credits. I was just like, I earned those credits, but hey, they ask you for a fee to transfer your credits. Let's see. Now going back to.
Oh, sorry. We had one more
No,
question.
no, that's
that
good.
I saw. The question was, so if I were planning to go to the FBI, what would be best if I wanted to get a master's degree in something and have the most experience?
So believe it or not, a lot of the questions that I get like this, it all depends on the individual, and this is why. So say you have a security clearance from the military, right? You do good, you get your security clearance, you have all the jobs, but what if you don't do well on the interview? What if you don't answer the questions right? So don't think that just because you have a specific career path, that's going to automatically lead you to an organization. I have known not a lot, but quite a few individuals, their mind is set on like a specific organization, like those 3-letter agencies, but they don't do well on the interview and they don't get picked up. So you gotta do a few things. Find mentors and ask them to help you out with the way the organization wants you to respond. See, my leadership always tells me on tests, like when I'm preparing for Air Force ranking tests, they always say you gotta think like you, but you also gotta think like how the Air Force wants you to think like, right? So you can have any job, you can be in any branch, you can have a security clearance and go pursue your education, but also make sure you get a mentor in those organizations to help you how to do well on the interview. That's very important. Lately, it's been a lot of the interview not going well or not saying the right thing. Your background is going to be very important for these 3-letter agencies. So, don't do drugs, even marijuana. They're allowed in some areas, right? Some states, but these 3-letter agencies, they do checks, they do drug tests. They just because it's okay in some states, the marijuana use, it's not okay for them. So right now is a good time to keep clear because they do background checks for, I think, 5 years if you're 18, but if you're older than 18, they go back 10 years or something. So it's more of like a general thing. You can get your master's. Right now, I have my master's. I got accepted to a PhD program. I have 0 student loans. So education, if that's what you want to pursue, you're going to get, whatever you want to get. So it's up to you. The decision is going to be one on the hard part is always on the students. It's you're going to have to get accepted to the school, to that degree program, right? You're going to have to take all the classes and do well in the classes. I have friends who enroll in classes, but they're struggling, right? So start one by one, have short-term goals and then have long-term goals, and then find a mentor. I think right now biggest thing is mentor, and the Air National Guard is probably better for that compared to active duty and reserves, because if you think about it, active duty and reserves, they focus on foreign threat, anything outside of continental states, overseas. So they don't get any kind of a networking done. But for Air National Guard person, we work in our local communities and we work with agencies in our local communities. In D.C Air National Guard right now, we have so many people that I know that's in FBI, that's in local law enforcement, that's in FEMA, that works for the State Department, like different areas. And I see them one weekend a month and I check up on them and they always say, hey, do you want to come work with us? And I'm like, no, I like my job. But the thing is, if you want to network, if you want to, a simpler, I guess, easier path, Air National Guard is good for networking. Your counselor, your career counselor will tell you, it is good to know, it is good to be informed and have education, but sometimes it's who you know. So networking is very important. And Air National Guard is the only area in the military that you can do networking with, because we're the only ones that has a local jurisdiction. We work in our communities with these agencies. And also in our departments too. For example, D.C Air National Guard Legal Office, we have a few people working in those 3-letter agencies. That's their full-time job. But one weekend a month, they come to D.C Air National Guard. And the cool thing is they are going to get a retirement from that 3-letter agency, and then they're going to get a retirement from the Air National Guard. So just because it's part-time, don't think you don't get much. You're going to get a retirement out of this too.
Well, we're going to have in about 5 minutes some other people coming in the meeting room for a different meeting. So I thought I better mention that before I got everything really confused. But listen, this has been one of the best virtual visits in terms of military that we have had. And the information you have provided, Sergeant Biddle, has been wonderful. We really appreciate your taking the time, especially everything that you have going on to do with your car.
Yeah, so what I want to do is actually set up another one, a good one where maybe I can, I won't be outside, but I would love to send information. But if it's possible, when the schools start coming up, maybe come in person.
Yes.
Obviously, I'll have a mask on, but there's just so much to cover. So please let me know when you're good, and when you're good, I would love to actually be sitting down in an office, because I can tell how well you can hear me from the wind. But being informed is very important. I wish I was informed, and I didn't even know you could do it part-time. I have both feet in.
No, it's been, just hearing all the options, very helpful. And if any students have questions beyond today, would you be okay if they reached out to you as well?
Yes. Call me. My text, I couldn't respond to because I was talking to the people as I was turning the car in. Text me, call me. What I like to do is have virtual visits with families and students themselves, because I know most of them are probably under 18. So, and also the students may not be able to have questions that they can think of, but the families will. So I love family virtual calls. Yesterday, I had a virtual call with like 6 people, the aunt, uncle, student.
That's wonderful though. That's great. And we appreciate that. And we'll definitely, when you send us that information for the Facebook videos, and we upload this video, I can include that in the information as well.
Yep. So. And if I can't do the video, because if it says like there's a login limitation or something, I'll send you pictures of the dorms. I'm going to send you a lot of stuff, because all I want is informed. See, my supervisor shouldn't even hear that I'm talking about active duty and reserve because I'm supposed to recruit for guard. But I've been that applicant that my recruiter didn't say anything and made me believe it was only, she happened to be an active duty recruiter. So she sold me on active duty. What I want to do is inform the students on everything, whether you come to my unit or not. I'm just happy that they're going to make a decision that's better for their lives. Because who am I to tell them Air National Guard is going to be best for you, right? I think so. But is it really? Let's talk to your family. Let's talk to each other and see what is it that they're looking for, so that way they can pick something that's going to be suitable for their goals.
Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Biddle, for joining us today. Thank you, students, for being here as well, and Ms. Callahan. And Sergeant Biddle, we will definitely stay in touch with you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe and take good care until next time.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
you.